Hello and welcome to HAZMAT, the only show that's going to name its top 5 members of the Beatles.
Whoa. Wait.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Harry.
And this is our top 10 films of 2025. We made it, folks. Another year has flown by and dragged simultaneously.
I can't believe they released 10 films this year.
They've
That's
released
insane.
10 whole films and we're about to list them for you. So, how this is going to work is we've both compiled our own personal top 10 films of the year. And we're going by UK release date, we should point out. So this is from December 2024 to November 2025, UK release date, because sometimes we get things a little bit later. And by a little bit, I mean like months sometimes.
Yeah, remember when we got that Christmas movie in January?
Do you remember the Christmas movie from January? You guys know the one.
You know the one.
We've banged on about it, you know? We actually haven't seen each other's lists yet, as usual. So, as a little added bonus this year, we're going to play a little game. We've written down a guess for what we think each other's number one film is. And once we're through the lists, we're going to reveal what we guessed and see if they were correct. So that's fun, isn't it?
They're not.
Let's get into the lists. But first, we are going to do a few honourable mentions. A few films that didn't quite make the list, were edged out at the last minute maybe, but we felt deserved a little moment in our final video. So we will go through them.
Yes.
My first honourable mention is The Mastermind. Now, I didn't actually review this that strongly when I originally talked about it, but I've since explored the filmography of Kelly Reichardt a lot more, and so kind of in hindsight I'm more aware of like what this film is trying to do, and I kind of get it and like it more. So I wanted to give that a mention because as well as, you know, really enjoying the film, it's also kind of opened me up to a new director that I really like as well. My next honourable mention is Better Man. Big Robbie Williams fan, we both are. We actually saw him live this year since seeing this film.
We did.
Great performer, great guy. And in, you know, the last few years, we've had a billion music biopics, but this one really stood out. I think it captured his personality and his story perfectly, did something a little different with it, and was just all around a fantastic film as well, whether you knew him or not. And also the added comedy of America not knowing who the hell he was the whole time was really great. And finally, my last honourable mention goes to Caught Stealing, which was the new Darren Aronofsky film this year. Something a little different for him, a bit more of an action crime thriller comedy vibe, but just packed full of fun. A really great ride. Austin Butler is just a brilliant leading man, and the cast around him are great in this. It was just such an exciting watch. I had so much fun watching it. So yeah, I wanted to shout that out as well.
My first honourable mention for this year is James Gunn's Superman movie. I think easily the best comic book movie we got this year, at least in terms of what we saw. And it did have some strong competition. I think Thunderbolts was really good. I think Fantastic Four was really good. But there's just something that's like incurably fun about James Gunn's work. So to see like him take a character that I've never been a massive fan of and finally make me interested in like what he's doing and where he's going with it. Yeah, really good. My next honourable mention. No, I'm going to start that again because I'm croaking up.
He's choking up. He loves it so much. He's getting
God.
emotional. He's getting
Oh, I was
emotional.
thinking about it again. My next honourable mention is Chainsaw Man the movie. I don't know what it is in specific. I think there's just a vibe, like a feeling about a lot of like anime movies that is just really exciting. It's especially, I think it's like the limited access to them that we get here is a big contributing factor. The fact that they play for like 2 or 3 days, and if you don't see them in that time, it's like they're gone forever.
A Tuesday morning or something.
Yeah. But yeah, like great action throughout. Obviously I watched the series beforehand, so I already knew I loved all the characters, and they introduced like a bunch of new ones which are really like fun and add a whole new dynamic. So that was a really good experience. And then my final honourable mention is The Naked Gun, which I think was hands down the funniest movie all year. For me, yeah, like it'd been like forever since we had a movie like this, like one of these spoof movies, and so we kind of both went in it, I think with a little bit of trepidation of like, does this kind of comedy still hold up? And not only does it hold up, it's like because it's been away for so long, it was really refreshing in a way to kind of go in and see that again. The only reason I think it doesn't make my top 10 list is because there's still a little bit of trepidation there in terms of like how well it's going to hold up in future watches. Like, is it the kind of thing you can go back to and still going to be as funny as the first time?
So here we are, the top 10. We made it, folks. Another year has flown by.
Every birthday, your mom and dad would say, you're another year older, another year wiser.
I'm 45.
What? How'd that happen?
I don't
How's
know.
that
I
happen?
don't know, but I turned 45 this year.
I feel ill.
So my number 10 is a film called On Falling, which is just a beautiful intimate picture of a Portuguese warehouse picker who is just struggling to find connection with the people around her. It's a great film that really explores like how work could just completely take over our lives, especially for people on the front lines, minimum wage workers, shift workers, the people that are kind of seen as the numbers to the higher ups, and just how other parts of our lives are slowly eroded away because you can only focus on work and you're too tired to do anything else, and you're working so much to get money just to scrape by. And it just explores all these themes so beautifully. You get a real intricate picture of her life, the people around her. She's in like a flat share with people she sort of knows, and I don't know, this film really struck a chord with me as soon as I watched it. I guess, I can relate to it a lot, having worked jobs like these and lived in flats like that. Yeah, it just really managed to capture that ennui. Is that the sort of the ennui? Sorry, to use a French term. Je m'appelle.
Bonjour.
Guten Tag. We're international here on HAZMAT, so
I won't apologise to the French for that pronunciation.
To the French. But yeah, it just does such a beautiful job of really quite calmly unravelling this picture and just really giving us a sense of what she's going through. And there's these really beautiful human moments inside it as well that are kind of the things that spurs her on, keeps it going, and it's just how those are so few and far between when you're in that sort of stage in life or that sort of situation. So yeah, just quite profoundly affected me.
My number 10 for the year is the little movie that could, by and large, the one that had the biggest cultural impact throughout the year. K-pop Demon Hunters, which is a movie I think surprised a lot of people. Because just by that title alone, you think it's going to be sort of a, like, slop, like kids slop that no one really cares about. But no, this really struck a chord with a lot of people and was hugely popular. It's quite a simple concept. It is just the story of good versus evil. But, my God, does it take something simple and do it well? And then sprinkle in some, interesting cultural stuff. We haven't really had a lot of movies that have taken the twist of like exploring the K-pop fan culture, but also sprinkling in a little bit of the the Korean like folklore and like magic and mysticism stuff. And I've probably said it before probably when I talked about this the first time. I think Sony are the absolute number one animation studio at the moment in terms of like actually exploiting the fact that they are using animation.
Actually exploiting their workers.
Oh God, I hope.
It's a train wreck over there.
No, they're the only ones who are really taking advantage of that in terms of like the way their characters move and express and emote and their action. It's just so over the top and cartoony, and we're just not really seeing that a lot from the other studios. They're probably number one in terms of like that aspect. We don't know if they're quite there yet in terms of like overall movie quality, but I think they are getting there. They're improving with each installment, even though they've got a few, black marks on their list. Stuff like the Emoji Movie is out there.
How dare you?
We all know.
Any movie that has Patrick Stewart voice a piece of poo is a good movie in my books.
It's not. It never
That's
was.
Genius.
It never was.
Who thought of that?
Patrick Stewart did, probably. That was his demand to sign on.
I'm only doing it if I can voice the poo.
I won't sign this contract until you guarantee me I get to be the poo. But yeah, good shit. Crazy that like a Netflix original would make the top 10, but there you go.
Yeah. I mean, listen, even I've heard about it. Mm-hmm. And it's been bloody everywhere.
It's been everywhere. Like all the songs like charted when it came out. I think Golden is still charting like right now. But
Biffy Clyro did a cover of it in the live lounge. That's my only connection to K-pop. So my number 9 is a bit of a surprise to me actually as well. Mm-hmm. It's Together, the body horror film that came out this year. That's a redundant thing to say. Every film I'm talking about came out this year. I don't know why I said that. So this is a film that came out earlier this year that I really liked.
Don't know why I said that. My nan's dead.
Don't know why I said that. But yeah, a surprise just in terms of like, I'm a fan of horror. You're obviously the horror guy on this channel, but I can get behind a good horror movie, and especially ones that do something a bit interesting like this. But just coming out of this film, I was just like, wow, that was actually incredible. I think they just nailed the concept so well. It didn't get super bogged down in lore and like its premise that I think a lot of horror has a problem with, where it doesn't really. It's got a good premise and thinks that's all you really need to carry it. This film had such great character work. You really cared about their relationship and were invested in that. It kept it really tight knit as well in terms of setting and characters. We didn't really see many other people or travel much further than their house or where they were living. And I just think all of that just really added up to something that really catered to my tastes. And then on top of that was a really visceral body horror as well, which was just such an interesting thing to watch. I think Franco and Brie nailed it. Obviously, great chemistry together because, they're married in real life. But yeah, I just think it nailed everything it set out to do. And I loved it. I bloody loved it.
Yeah. Is that the first time you've had a horror on your...
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, which even Honourable Mentions. They don't tend to land high. It's just because there's other genres I tend to gravitate towards a lot more. And a lot of horror, like I say, doesn't tend to have that character work, which is something I always really like. Whereas Together, I think, had that element, which is what has enamored me to it.
It's a married couple showing that you can have on-screen chemistry together. Unlike Mr. Krasinski.
And Blunt.
What the hell are you doing?
Is she called Emily Krasinski?
I think she's still credited as Emily Blunt.
She'll still be credited as that,
Yeah.
but
I don't know if they're
I think
like...
legally she's Emily Krasinski.
Or like Krasinski Blunt or Blunt Krasinski.
Blunt Krasinski. What's up, Blunt Krasinski? That's like their son's name. His name is Blunt Krasinski. He just says what he means.
no beating about the bush.
That was a bit Blunt Krasinski.
Time. Just double check.
It's thirsty work, this. We're two boys with sore throats. It's going to be the worst video to listen to. My number 2 pick.
So my number 9, in a very similar vein, is also a horror movie. My number 9 is Weapons.
Imagine if it was Together.
It was not,
That'd
not
really
together.
Because then we'd have been reviewing it together.
Together. The latest Zach Kreger offering, I think, was incredibly creative in its structure and specific. The story told from multiple perspectives and multiple angles. We see different incidents throughout from one character's point of view, and then the same thing from another character and its continuation. A lot of stuff going on. Great performances all around. Guys like Josh Brolin's really good. Benedict Wong's really good. Julia Garner's great in this. Fantastic cast all around, even though obviously we talked about like it almost being completely different.
Completely different movie.
Completely different movie. It would have been like the 500,000th movie that Pedro Pascal did throughout the year. But...
In the same month as like 2 other Pascal films, I feel like.
Yeah. I think it was like Fantastic Four and
I want to say 3 maybe because he was in Eddington as well.
Eddington.
And
They all kind of crossed. Yeah, they all kind of
Weapons,
crossed over once.
It would have been
number
4.
Would have been the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I always appreciate when these kind of movies go the extra effort to do a lot of like symbolic like imagery throughout. I think Zach Cregg has said throughout that it's sort of a metaphor for like the dangers of alcoholism and how it can affect communities and families. And like we both came out sort of looking at the angle that it's about like a school shooting, but like I think that's the best kind of movie when a director says it's about this thing but you can very easily interpret it as something else. That's the best kind of metaphor, is when it's got multiple angles you can look at it from, and that's what the movie is. You're looking at things from multiple angles, from different perspectives. It's just you can't write it, except you can because Zach Cregger did.
Well, you probably should write it unless it's like whose line is it anyway.
Yeah, the whole movie was improv, I think. Don't quote me on that.
This brings me to my number 8, which is a different numbered film, Mickey 17. Now, I'm a Bong Joon-ho fan, and I am a massive Robert Pattinson fan, as I've harped on about him a lot on the channel lately. This was just a banger to me. It was a great comedy, it was a great sci-fi, it was a great blockbuster. I think everything it set out to do, it did really well. The messaging was very on the nose, but I think that is forgivable because that's kind of Bong Joon-ho's style.
Yeah.
When you look back at the stuff he's done, it is all very obvious commentary on things like classism and the environment, climate change, and things like that. Society at large.
like come out of Parasite and be like, what do you mean it's about the wealth divine?
Yeah. I thought that was just a fun comedy movie.
It's about stabbing, isn't it?
That was just a horror, nothing more. Nothing more, mate. I think Robert Pattinson in dual roles here. So 2 for the price of 1. Or, well, 18 for the price of 1. Really, really great. And again, the cast around in the ensemble cast, Mark Ruffalo, Toni Collette. Who else did we have in here? Stephen Yeun, Naomi Aki. Just, yeah, I think everyone really, really did great. And it's such an out there film and it's so bold. But it just really captivated me.
My number 8 is something that we have a great deal of between the two of us. Friendship.
Oh.
So yeah, it's nice. We can be nice sometimes when we're not calling each other bitches. Tim Robinson, what a fucking role he's been on this year.
We love him.
Had another banger TV series that we've been watching and we'll talk about eventually at some point.
Yes.
I don't think anyone does like cringe comedy quite the way that Tim Robinson does. Like normally with cringe comedy, it's kind of, you know, the main character sort of the butt of the joke. It's all about putting them in embarrassing and like awful situations, which sort of happens here, but it's so bizarre. There's almost like an ethereal kind of feeling when you're watching like a Tim Robinson project, in the fact that he almost seems normal.
Yeah.
In the fact that everyone else just doesn't react the proper way to everything he's doing.
He's like nearly the straight man in this.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
It's so weird in that like his reactions are always so like over the top and out of line, but because the cast around him doesn't react in the way that any normal person was, like he then appears normal by comparison because he's just the whole world at large in like in the Robinson verse is just kind of kooky and out of whack all the time. Yeah, this was just a great experience. It was so bizarre. It's, you know, a story of one man who sort of has struggled to make friends in his adult life, and then this new neighbor played by Paul Rudd moves in, and just shit hits the fan from there. It's not even like it all kind of explodes at any moment. Like everything seems like so low scale that, you know, it never truly ramps up to this huge moment, but because of Robinson's over-the-top performance, it sells it to you that it is. And that's, I think he's an absolute master of that, is just taking small incidents and blowing them out of proportion. And that's what this movie is. That's what this movie is. Just one incident, followed by another, to the point, like, you're never really rooting for the guy. But at the same time, you kind of are.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. He's just got such a unique style that I think we both love in terms of like his comedic styling. It's so like surreal and bizarre, but also so grounded at the same time.
He's making like actual observations, but in like, such a weird way.
He's taking things that are completely normal and saying like, this is weird, but he's not just doing it in the way that like, oh, have you ever seen like, why do we do this? Why do we do this? It's like, no, he's actually making them weird.
Yeah.
And that's where the comedy comes from, is the uncomfortable like nature of it. But yeah, criminal that I think this was such a sort of just low-key release, because this is great. I think everything he does is great.
My number 7 is I'm Still Here. Now, the release schedule of this film is a bit wacky because they released it briefly at the end of last year, so that it was viable for the last Oscars. So obviously this film has had its award buzz. It's had all its praise already. It feels like it came and gone, but we didn't get it until about February. So I'm counting it as part of the list. And I really loved it. It was, you know, all those Oscars it got were so deserved. And it's, you know, about a part of history I didn't really know much about. The Brazilian dictatorship of the 60s, 70s sort of era, and the forced disappearance of a congressman and the effect that has on his family. But I think what this film does so well is it spends its first like 25 to 30 minutes with us just spending time with this family, just going about their lives, having friends around, having nice days, loving each other and being like a nice happy family. And it really makes the impact worse when what happens and we see this family, you know, slowly fall apart and the mother tries to keep things together, and we really see the impact just so much more having got to know them and having got really invested and emotionally attached to them. I just think, yeah, the pacing of the film, it just really, really takes its time with it and really does justice to, you know, a sensitive issue like I say, it's a part of history and a part of politics we don't really get taught about much, probably outside of South America. Whether the US do or not, we certainly don't get taught in school about it. It feels like it was a massive deal, and we probably should. So it was cool from that perspective as well. All those awards fully deserved. I'm still here. It's still here on my list.
Yeah, great Elton John song as well.
I'm still here. Oh no, I've been kidnapped by the Brazilian government.
By the Brazilian government, of all people.
Of all people? You wouldn't think, would you?
That's actually illegal, I believe.
It's always who you least expect.
And they're the ones making the laws?
Hang on a minute. They're in charge.
And my number 7, also a different number in the title, is 28 years later. And boy, does that feel like the amount of time we were waiting for this to come out. Yeah, 28 weeks later. The last one to come out before this came out around, I think it's something like 2009. So it's been a long old wait between installments, but I think it was definitely worth it. Bringing Danny Boyle back in because, there's kind of his universe. He understands it more than anyone else does. 28 Weeks was much more Americanized, and I didn't think really grasped what was so good about the original, in that it is just so authentically British in his presentation, and just does a fantastic job of taking these massive sprawling environments and making them feel so claustrophobic. 28 Days was sort of set in London, which is one of the biggest, most sprawling cities we have. It's the biggest one we've got, and just even with empty streets, no one around, it still felt so compact and so tight. And then they do a similar thing here, but it's sort of the natural environment around the northeast coast. It's a lot of open sort of fields, there's a lot of wooded areas, it's all very natural environments, but still, because they've done such a good job of building this threat and presenting them in such a way that this is a danger, we're all educated along with the characters in this movie that this is something to fear, and something even now we've been living with it in this movie for so long. It's still something that affects their everyday lives and is the most terrifying thing you can imagine. So atmosphere wise, tremendous. The one movie that made me remember that Aaron Taylor Johnson is actually English, because I've seen him in so many things where he's doing an American accent. It's like, he does a really good fucking Geordie accent. How's he done that? Great cast all around. Jodie Comer, Ray Fiennes, who's coming back for the next one. I'm very much looking forward to the next one. Only got a month or so to wait for it, so big thumbs up, and please don't goof from here on out, because I want it to still be good. Thank you, please, and thank you.
I thought you were telling them not to have fun anymore.
No, I'm just saying don't goof with the final product. No goofing with the final product.
No goofing, please.
If you're on set, have all the fun you want, but as long as it's good.
No goofing on set.
We've got a new Mr. Boyle has just announced a new rule: no goofing.
No goofing on set. You've all been goofing too much.
You're doing too much goofing.
Film's been delayed.
Looking at you, Rafe.
Rafe, put on the whoopee cushion.
It's not funny anymore.
You've done it too many times now. People are expecting it. No one thinks they farted. No one thinks they really farted, Rafe.
It's the same noise every time. People can tell.
I'll start calling you Ralph.
I'll do it.
Which brings us to my number 6, Begonia, the latest from Yorgos Lanthimos, someone who I have cited as my favourite many, many times on this channel. So I was really excited for this to come out. It's bold. It's exciting. It's fresh. It's action-packed, which is interesting for a film of his. Emma Stone back again. The chemistry that they have together as a director and actor is just working wonders. This is, I think, their 4th feature-length film together. 5th if you count the short film they did as well together.
6th if you count Spider-Man.
6th if you count Spider-Man. 7 if you count Easy A. The list goes on. They've collabed pretty much her entire life. Zombieland. I mean, But yeah. It just, if it works, it works. And it seems to be working for both of them. I think maybe in the next few years, I'd like to see him branch out with some other people. But, he's always been the type of guy to use the same cast members. It happened early on as well. It felt a little bit different just because someone else wrote the screenplay, and it was a remake of a Korean film called Save the Green Planet. So it was less an invention from the twisted mind of Yorgos Lanthimos, which tend to be the ones I gravitate towards more. But Begonia still delivered for me. It still had that flair of his, real uncomfortableness that I always love that he brings. There's some real psychological horror and sci-fi elements to this one. It's just the whole package, and yeah, really enjoyable time. But it's it's ended up kind of mid-list just in terms of there's a lot of his films I just like better than this. But as a film itself, really, really great.
It's strong.
Strong.
My number 6 is One Battle After Another. And boy howdy was it. I cannot think of another film that balances, constant tension and rising action throughout with like perfectly timed comedy exactly where it's meant to be, just to alleviate some of that. It never felt like forced like it can in some of the sort of action blockbuster stuff like the Marvel movies. It can often feel like it's just crammed in there because they're hitting some kind of comedy quota. But I think the way this movie is structured, the way it's written is so perfect in terms of its balance between getting to where we need to and then having these moments. Criminally underused Benicio del Toro in this movie. I think every moment he's on scene, every moment he's on screen, like he is a scene stealer.
Yeah, the little time he has, he uses very well.
Yeah, he's absolutely he's maximizing his minutes.
I mean, you just look at the impact he's made in terms of people quoting his lines and the scene at the end where he's dancing.
I think a generational performance from Sean Penn as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talk about how he's both so sort of sniveling and petty and pathetic, but also so intimidating at the same time. And it's just a credit to every performance in this. I think we went in it expecting Leo to be good because he always is, but even he I thought stepped up a lot of it as well.
He played it very comedically, which is something we don't see as often from him. He's often in quite prestige biopics and dramas and stuff. I think he was really able to let it loose in this one, which was cool.
Diversifying.
Yeah,
he's broadening his portfolio. As like you said before, I think every time a new Leonardo DiCaprio movie comes out, it feels like an event. It feels like it's a big deal. And so it's a lot to live up to, and I think this one does. Just with flying colours. Passes with flying colours. Great movie, and, even though it's nearly 3 hours, never feels like it. And that's the best kind of movie, is where it flies by. And that's how you know you're enjoying it, because time flies when you're having fun.
Did you make that up?
Yes,
that's
and
really
I'm patenting it.
That's brilliant.
No one can say it.
What if I'm going to just riff on that for a minute. I'm going to go, time flies like an arrow.
I'm going to fucking kill you.
Oh my god. Here we are, top 5. We've made it to the top 5, folks. So here's a link to our top 5 films of the year video.
You're going to have to get part 2.
Have to wait for that. My number 5 pick is Urchin, which was the directorial debut from actor Harris Dickinson this year, best known for things like Baby Girl, The Iron Claw. Yeah, I've loved everything he's been in so far, pretty much, that I've seen, and I was really interested to see what he would do behind the camera as well as in front, and he really did a great job here. Such an interesting, bold debut. Just a great story about, a homeless addict with a shot of redemption, and just whether or not he can land it, and what he tries to do to kind of pull himself out of that hole, and just trying to work within a system that he clearly isn't really built for, and just how, people like that can fall through the cracks. And there's also these really surreal elements which I really loved in this as well, these quirks and flourishes that Dickinson clearly kind of put in there to try and hone his own style and kind of make his mark as a director, I felt. But I think really, really worked to just elevate this concept. It's such a grounded concept, but I just love the way he naturally kind of put these dreamlike sequences in, and it leaves us with a bit of what the hell did that mean? What the hell was that about? Which I think is always a good, healthy thing to come out of a film. Feeling, yeah, like you said before, with different interpretations. It just nailed it. Such a bold debut from him, and I'm really excited to see what he does next. Thanks, Harris Dickinson, for your film Urchin. I really liked it.
Yours sincerely.
And Frank Delane in the lead performance here as well. Absolutely nailed it. Career defining. It's that and young Tom Riddle from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's his 2 roles.
He's not going to be remembered for one of them. Similarly to you, my number 5 is also a movie about addictive behaviour, about an everyman on the path to redemption. Just a serious, gritty, grounded kind of drama with a lot of the same themes. Because my number 5 is The Monkey. Almost identical. You'd struggle to find a difference
Pretty
between the
much
two
the
films.
same film. Harris Dickinson directed that too, didn't he?
No.
Oh.
This was one of the Osgood Perkins movies of the year, based on the Stephen King short story. And again, just a movie of excellent balance, of combining the gory, grotesque, dark horror elements with the darkly comedic, over-the-top slapstick elements, and never sort of straying off the path of leaning too much into one or the other. Tonally, I think, excellent, kept it pretty consistent throughout. Osgood Perkins becoming one of my favourite directors working at the moment, I think. Yet to miss another movie with a dual role here. It's Theo James carrying in two different performances, two pretty vastly different performances of brothers who are at each other's throats. One of them is feeling guilty over the death of their mother, and then the other one is much more spiteful and vengeful and blames the other brother for it, and that's our sort of main conflict, our emotional anchor throughout the movie. And yeah, just paced really well again, knows when to crank up the violence, knows when to crank up the comedy. And I think I described it as sort of like the I'm sure he didn't originate it, but like the Edgar Wright style of, you know, having running jokes that are, you know, the setup is early on and then the punchline is delivered much later, and it rewards the audience for paying attention to that. Loads of that here. Definitely one I'm going to have to rewatch, because I'm certain there's probably loads of different, like, just little throwaway lines, background visual gags that will pop up, like, regularly. I know, not with the comedy way, but, like, in Longlegs, I've seen, like, a bunch of different analysis of that movie, and he's got, like, a bunch of different stuff happening in the background that, if you pay attention to, you can pick up on. So it'll be fun to go back and watch this one again to see, like, what new things you can spot and find on the way through.
Like a little treasure hunt.
A little treasure hunt. Seems to be like a big horror thing, doesn't it? They don't really do it with a lot of other movies.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the most fun and like playful genre, I think.
It's the easiest genre you can just sneak stuff in the background of.
Yeah, you just put it there.
And be like, oh yeah, that's that.
Yeah, that's
ghost in the back.
Do you get ooh? Were you paying attention? That's ooh.
Because anything you put in the back, people are like, oh, what does that mean?
It's, yeah, it like, I think horror just induces paranoia in people in a sense of like everything has to mean something and everything is there for a reason, even though it's like, that's just a bookshelf, dude. It's just that came with the room.
Here we are, top 4. I'm gonna do this for every number from now on.
Yeah, that's fair. No, the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, here we got the Fantastic Four.
We've done the famous 5.
Fantastic
now
Four.
we're on the Fantastic Four.
Can't wait for the terrible 2s. My number 4 is Late Shift. This is yet another movie on my list about a working class person just stressed as fuck trying to get by. Can you tell what's happened to me this year, folks? And what films I've really related to? Yeah, absolutely brilliant. This is a German film starring Leonie Benesch as a overworked nurse on a single late shift. It gave me kind of Boiling Point vibes in terms of, it's not exactly in real time, but we follow her on this one shift in the evening in a hospital, and just the things she has to deal with, how stretched thin she is, and just how understaffed they are. And obviously, you know, it's making these points again about the workforce and specifically how hospitals are so understaffed these days, and just how hard it is for those on the front lines, you know, how much is demanded of them and how little they're respected and paid. And we were so close during COVID. So close to giving these people the respect that they deserve, and then the world opened up again and we like all forgot about them. But yeah, the film really, really nails that message on the head, on the coffin. They really put the final nail in the head of the coffin.
They really take
Just
the
really
head
nails-
off the body, throw it into the coffin, and forget about it.
And then had a nail on it. One of those phrases, anyway.
It's in there somewhere.
It was good.
You know what I'm saying.
Film was good. Thanks. It really nails that tension and that stress, and it really ramps it up so well until it kind of explodes towards the end, and it's just so satisfying. But again, in amongst it all, something I really love is these just small human moments of laughter and connection in amongst this like insane working environment we all have to be in now. I mean, yeah, similar to Unfalling that I mentioned earlier, similar to Urchin as well in a way. Like, just these films that kind of strike a chord with me personally and that just dig their way in immediately as soon as I watch them and, refuse to leave. So this just flew right up the list when I saw it. And I'm becoming a big fan of Leonie Benesch as well. I loved her in The Teacher's Lounge last year. I think I gave that an honourable mention in last year's video. I had some issues with September 5th that came out this year, but she wasn't one of them. She was great in that. So I've sort of, inadvertently become a huge Leonie Benesch fan, so I'll be searching out her work in the future and seeing what she's up to. I think she's so good at playing really stressed out, anxious characters that have so much nuance and so much depth behind them as well. Like characters where you don't see their backstory, but you feel it through what she does and what she says. So yeah, really fantastic lead performance here as well from Leonie Benesch.
Well, if you enjoy films that are about a working class character having to deal with the stresses, the challenges of everyday life, you're gonna love this next one. Because my number 4, it's no jokes this time. There's actually no jokes this time. Because my number 4 is I Swear.
Oh, that really is about that.
That is about that.
It really is about that.
That is about that. I wasn't lying. Sometimes I lie, sometimes I don't, and
you can never tell which is which.
Yeah, just what a great movie this was. We saw the trailer for this so many times. It became, I think that was our sort of meme trailer for this year. Like it was Trap last year, and then it was I Swear this year, and
such a quotable trailer.
Yeah, and that's just a credit to the writing of the film, is that you can easily kind of quote bits of it. I think with movies like this, where it relies a lot on like the comedic aspect of it, like trailers can often ruin that, because you're giving away all your best jokes in the trailer, and now when it actually happens in the movie, it's just not funny because you've already seen it a billion times. But I think there's something about the delivery in this that I think it is still funny, and like when you see the surrounding context of how they get to those moments, it just adds to it. So obviously this was a story about our boy John, a young man suffering with Tourette's syndrome. It's set during the sort of the 90s, where it wasn't really known about as much. It was like still new, and they didn't really have any like processes of like understanding it or making adjustments for it. So it's kind of about his experience of sort of being ostracized a lot in society because of this condition he has. And how he overcomes it and eventually becomes a spokesperson and a role model and sort of the face of educating people about Tourette's syndrome. So it's a very like uplifting story. It never verges too much into being like a sob story or like begging for sympathy. It never asks you to do that. It's just you naturally kind of gravitate towards doing that yourself, because the portrayal is so authentic and like tugs on your emotional heartstrings a lot, that you kind of just by default you're like, yeah, I'm on this guy's side. I want this guy to push past all these blocks, all these barricades, and succeed, to the point where just small victories seem like massive in the context of what's going on in his life. Small victories like, getting a job or getting out of these criminal sentences where the judges end up taking his side, like, yeah, this wasn't your fault, all the way up to him receiving an award from the Queen at the end. That's the sort of the moment it all builds up to, is him being recognized for all his hardships he went through. And yeah, it just does a fantastic job of telling this story, which is relatively small scale, to the point that it isn't really something that's been talked about an awful lot. Probably more about like the time that it actually happened. People might have been talking about it a bit, but it's not something that's had like a massive cultural impact, other than maybe sort of paving the way for now our understanding of Tourette's syndrome, and how it's now sort of, we understand it a lot better. We know what it is. He was sort of the one who paved the way for all that. And it's a great story. And with these sort of biopic type films, it's refreshing in that it's just a guy. Because it's always about like big names, about like, these big figures throughout history, all these celebrities, like these musicians. For it just to be a working class guy in Scotland, really refreshing and much more like relatable. So yeah, good shit. Now I'm allowed to say that because the movie says it's okay to swear.
Here we go, the throbbing threes.
The bronze medalists.
Sorry for saying throbbing, let's really change the vibe.
Yeah, what do we... It's got to be the thrilling...
Thrilling threes, that's way better. I genuinely couldn't think of a... I'll be honest, I wasn't listening to you there. I was trying to think of another word that
started with thruh.
that would describe
The thrusting. All I could think of was just disgusting imagery. That's all I could
all
do.
sexual. What the hell? My bronze medal for 2025 goes to a film called The Assessment. Now, this was one of those that you just sort of see on streaming and you think, sounds interesting. Stick that on, see what that's like. I like the cast, I like the premise, and then you just get bloody blown away, which I think is rarer on like a streaming thing than at the cinema.
Yeah.
Because I think we've talked before about how the cinema experience kind of elevates a lot of stuff.
Amplifies it, yeah.
But no, yeah, I found this on Amazon Prime, and I don't remember it having a theatrical run if it did. But yeah, I really love this. Elizabeth Olsen, Himesh Patel, and Alicia Vikander. It's sort of a near-future sci-fi dystopia thing set in a world ravaged by overpopulation, and so to have a baby, you have to go through an assessment. And Alicia Vikander plays the assessor who moves in with them for a week and acts as if she's their child, and it just makes for these really like uncanny, uncomfortable, surreal, strange scenes and moments. I really just loved it. It was such a unique concept, and I think the central performances here were so great. The chemistry of Elizabeth Olsen and Alicia Vikander, the sort of love-hate bond that their characters end up forging, is just so interesting to see play out. Yeah, just all of that just really added up to this really unexpectedly great film. And I think it's got that absurdism that I really like, with a bit of an emotional core that always draws me in, with, you know, I guess a bit of a profound message on, you know, climate change and where we're heading, and you know what things could be like in the future. And it's got that thing that like a lot of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror has, where it's kind of a foreseeable future in a way. It's not such an outlandish like sci-fi future. It is kind of hard sci-fi, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like realistic. Yeah, it's been on my top 10 since I saw it. It's been high on the list for a long time. Just really creative and wonderful and great.
And
Quick, think of some other words quick.
And Dev Patel's in it.
That's not true.
Yeah, he is.
I said Himesh.
No, but Dev Patel's also in it.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
I can guarantee you he's not in it.
Look again.
Dev?
My third place, my bronze medal finish, shares its name with a nightclub we never went to since shut down. Sinners.
Oh.
Another movie with a dual role going on here. It seems to be it's been a big year for that.
It certainly has.
Michael B. Jordan in the lead role for this film, and he do be Jordan in this.
I just thumbs up that one.
Just couldn't think of anything
I
else.
couldn't riff on it.
Good. Sorry.
Just gave that a good hearty thumbs.
You know what? I like that. Thumbs up. I can't remember the last time maybe we had a horror movie that got such like critical acclaim and potentially like a lot of awards buzz around it. It was like seen as actual cinema, because I think horror is often overlooked in that department. Maybe Get Out was the last one.
Yeah.
Get Out, and I think maybe The Substance.
Substance,
yeah. But it seems to be slowly eking its way back into sort of doing well in that territory. I think just because we're having a lot of like high concept stuff come in, rather than just being like, ooh, boo, spooky haunted house. Having said that, this is pretty traditional in a sense, in that it is a vampire movie. Like that is classic horror fare. But just to, you know, throw into the mix of the time and the culture that surrounds it, it's so much different to any other like vampire movie you'll see. You know, it's the movie that I think has the one scene that has stuck with me the most throughout the year. The one where I think, you know, it's the best singular scene that was done the best throughout. And you'll know which one it is. Everyone who's seen Sinners will know which scene it is. You know, the one. But yeah, just to see like a horror movie just do so well and receive so much, you know, so many plaudits. It's just nice. It's nice to see as a horror aficionado, because I think the traditional horror kind of movies of like trying to scare you or jump scare you just don't work anymore, at least for me, because I've seen so many that it just doesn't work anymore.
Dead inside.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, so it is now about, performance, about concept, about presentation. And this does everything, does all of that to the highest standard and does it in abundance. I think this was also the movie where they kind of really took advantage of the dual roles thing, and like they took a lot of extra steps to flex how well they were doing it. Like you pointed out, them like passing the cigarette back and forth, just little touches which are like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but you think, oh yeah, you kind of really have to time that well and get everything perfect to make that look believable. Everything it does, it nails like more than competently. Takes a simple concept with an interesting premise, an interesting culture, interesting setting, and just presents it all fantastically. This is by and large the best horror movie of the year.
It was banging.
It was a banger. Certified fresh.
That's our scale for movies. No one else's.
Yeah, I think it's either fresh or it's rotten, I think. And this was
that's
far
a good.
from rotten.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Fresh and rotten. We should.
I think
that.
we should
maybe like a percentage of each one.
Yeah, I think we should like patent that so no one else can
That's
use
really
it.
good. Or what we should do as well is not only just have one score, we should have two, because obviously audiences and critics,
They differ.
They're quite
They're
different.
quite different. Like,
I think we should have like a critics one and
yeah,
audience
like
one.
but people who write for a living, they just
They don't know anything.
No, they think they do because they went to a fancy college, but
They don't.
they don't.
The audiences, however.
They know what's up.
And we're going to call it Rotten Potatoes. We made it, the terrible twos. Can't believe it. Both these movies are terrible. I'm about to talk about
The
that.
terrific twos.
Terrific twos. That's more like it.
That's more than likely.
The
To be
titillating
correct.
twos.
Ooh.
Sorry, the only ones I can think about are sexual. So yeah, my number two is a little film, a little lesser heard of film called One Battle After Another. No one's talked about this year.
No one's talked about it.
I thought
even
it was really
today.
good. Even today, no
Even
one's
today,
mentioned
no
it.
one said.
I can't-
Not said a fucking
Guys,
thing.
has no one seen this?
Oh.
I agree with everything you said. This film is just fantastic in pretty much every way, shape, or form. It might be PTA's like magnum opus in a filmography full of magnum opuses. Opie.
Magnum Opie.
Magnum Opie. Yeah, again, Leonardo DiCaprio. Every film he comes out with, I'm seated for. It's like the fucking Olympics when he releases a film. And he was obviously really, really great. But like you say, the rest of the cast here just really bring their A game as well. And we were, of course, introduced to Chase Infinity on the back of this as well, who I think is going to have such a great career. She's up for like pretty much every award you can possibly get for this film, and I think she's going to do some really, really great stuff. Just shows what happens when you take a chance on like small talent. Not everyone has to be the biggest name ever to make an impact. And she really held her own against these really like seasoned, well-known actors as well. But yeah, action-packed, funny, heartfelt, profound, devastating, all of these things at once. Yeah, the runtime is like over 2.5 hours. Doesn't feel it. This film doesn't let up. I think it ramps the tension so well. I've probably thought about it once a day since we saw it. I think just the cultural impact it's had is just insane. Like, I'm still seeing people talking about it. I think it's probably going to land on about 90% of lists this year.
Yeah.
Like, people's top 10s. It's up for, all the awards. I'm sure it'll at least get some Oscar nominations, if not wins. Just brilliant. I mean, what more can I say? It is literally a perfect film, I think. PTA is an absolute monster. He's an absolute beast.
Yeah, I hate going to those PTA meetings. They're always so uncomfortable. He just yells at you.
Oh my god, we're talking about Magnolia again. With all the fucking parents. Look, Sharon, I know you like Phantom Fred. But frankly, I'm a licorice pizza man myself.
They just get so heated. I have to leave.
They just get...
I have to leave.
all the mums arguing about PTA.
I said, right, well, when are we going to talk about the geography budget?
But yeah, I knew this was going to land very high on my list, and number 2 seemed like the perfect spot for it.
And my number 2, we're in the silver medals here.
Woohoo!
For the silver screen.
Ooh.
Silver, silver, silver.
All right, you're laying it on thick now.
Sorry. I do apologise. My number 2, I'm doing all I can to be a better man. we're not doing. We can't play anymore because we'll get
I'm
we'll
not
get
play-
copyright strike. But
I'm not
just
putting the song
in
on.
your head. Go on Spotify. Just go on Spotify.
Play the song now.
Play the song. This is everything you've already mentioned about this movie, about how it is a breath of fresh air, how we are almost at the point now where, similar to people saying they're suffering from superhero fatigue, we're getting the biopic fatigue, specifically the musical biopic fatigue. It seems there's been a fucking billion of them recently. And even like in the early ones, you know, when it first became popular, when I think it was sort of Bohemian Rhapsody that really popularized it again, and then Rocket Man came not long after that. But even so, like even back then, I was like, oh yeah, I prefer Rocket Man because it does it a bit differently. It does it like big fantasy sequences and plays around with the genre a bit, which Better Man does to a much bigger extent. Incredible set pieces throughout this. I think the whole choreographed number set to Rock DJ is a highlight. The sequence that details his sort of whirlwind romance with Nicole Appleton, with She's the One playing over the top, gave me a new appreciation for that song. It wasn't one of my favorites of his, but now like I've gone back and it's kind of, I've warmed up to it a lot more.
You're playing the whole scene in your head while you're saying
I could just, yeah, it just the connection there, like it gives you such a new outlook on these songs of his.
It comes on when you drive and you just like closing your eyes, imagining.
And just swerve into the... Yeah, fantastic all around. I think John O'Davis is fantastic in the lead role here, and even Robbie in his little sort of narrative bits knows exactly what he wants to do, what he wants from this movie, and knows exactly the right kind of like delivery for it, which is why I think it didn't do well with American audiences, because he has such a British demeanor, British like comedic sense of being, you know, self-deprecating, and you know, he's that cheeky chappy kind of guy, which they just don't get over there. So it's a shame that it didn't, you know, do well internationally like they wanted it to with such a massive budget. But I think this is one that people are going to go back to and watch on streaming and give it a chance to be like, oh yeah, I remember that coming out, and like it's sort of bombing at the time, and people will have a new appreciation for it. They'll be like, oh yeah, I kind of regret not seeing that now, because it is fantastic. It's a spectacle. I think this is the movie I'd describe as the biggest spectacle of the year, and it is just an experience. I think it does such a great job of telling the story of Robbie's career in such a heartfelt way, but not being like overly soft and not shying too much away of sort of the dark periods and the battles with addiction that he had. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve and said, like, wouldn't want to give like a dishonest account of everything he went through, like, and I think the movie captures that perfectly. It is so good, and I just want more people to see it. It does the whole thing like so differently, so creatively. It's worth the watch, even if you don't, like you said, if you don't know his story, if you don't know who he is, that's made up for with like how effectively they tell this story. You can just look at it as, you know, a piece of fiction if you want to, and it still like holds up super well.
So go see it, everyone. Well, you know, put it on.
Put it on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Well, folks, we've made it. I'm nervous.
I'm shaking.
Oh my God,
I
I'm
can't do
nervous.
this. I've got to go.
I can't. The video just ends there. My number one film of 2025 is a film that has everything that I look for in a piece of cinema. And it's a film called Sorry Baby. This is the directorial debut of Ava Victor. She writes and also stars in it, and she's someone who I followed a long time online, and then she sort of disappeared for a while, and then came back with a full feature-length film. So I was just so excited to see it, and it delivered and then some. It's hilarious, and it's heartbreaking, and it's devastating, and it's profound, and it's beautifully shot, and it's beautifully written, and it's amazingly paced. The tone control here, like the balance of the comedy against such a dark subject matter that it's dealing with, you know, it's a story of trauma, and it's a story of healing and depression, and feeling like other people's lives are still going on around you while you're stuck dealing with this horrible thing that's happened to you. And it just deals with that concept in such a unique and fresh way as well, because it kind of focuses on those moments in between. It's not the classic trauma story of going through therapy. There's no screaming, crying breakdown scenes here. There's none of that sort of thing. It's all about those small, intimate moments, the relationships with friends and the people around her. Her environment is such, it's like another character, like the house that she lives in is like another character in the film. Yeah, everything about it is just so perfectly well balanced. Yeah, the fact that it's a debut, like I've got I think 2 or 3 debuts on this list. Like, I'm always really impressed when it's a first time director and what they're able to do. Yeah, really confidently done, I think, and really showed her skills as a comedian and a storyteller. And to be honest, I could harp on about it for a long, long time. It really profoundly got to me. I really felt a lot of this. And yeah, Neva Victor acting in the lead role here as well. Like, her performance is so nuanced and balanced as well because, like I say, it doesn't do those like intense crying scenes or anything like that. Yeah, she really, really brings her A game in every facet. The fact that she was doing it all as well,
Yeah.
did it all so well, the directing, the writing. You know, what more can I say? It was number 1 as soon as I watched it, and it's beaten everything out to this day. So, sorry, baby, but you're my number 1 film.
You don't have to apologise for that. That's a good thing. Well, here we are, the last one, the number 1. And for me, it was very nearly the Year of the Monkey. But instead, it's the Year of the Cat. Because my favourite movie, my number 1 for 2025, is Flow. Again, a technicality being on this list. I think it was released sort of late 2024 over in the States, and then we didn't get it until about sort of March time, which is what makes it qualify for this list. It already, like you said, it already got all its awards hype. It won all of its awards, and deservedly so, because I'm a real sucker for non-verbal storytelling if you can do it in a way that is, you know, just captivating and doesn't rely on dialogue. And I was so impressed with how this movie goes about it, because these are like actual animals throughout. They're not like bipedal animals, or they're not like anthropomorphic animals. They are just actual animals throughout. So already it's fighting an uphill battle of, we don't necessarily know a lot about sort of their expressions or their body language. We know probably just about enough, but this movie does a great job of selling it to you that you know exactly what these creatures are feeling in the moment, despite the fact we shouldn't really know, because we're not like animal experts, we're not animal behavioral experts, but the movie presents it in a way that you know exactly what's going on, the context around what's happened in the story. And again, it's just one of these movies that takes like very small things and presents them as like disastrous. Obviously a flood is not a small thing. A flood that engulfs the world is not a small thing, but just the animals like losing items that they've picked up along the way is presented in a way that you really feel it, like in here when it happens, because they've got nothing else to cling to. So to lose that in the moment, it's emotionally devastating when it shouldn't be, but it is. And again, like, just the importance of this movie going forward. I think I talked about it a bit at the time when I first saw this, about how this entire movie was, you know, animated, modeled, rendered in Blender, which is like an open source software. So to get a movie that is created in a program that is completely freely accessible to anyone, and for it to win Golden Globes, win Academy Awards from a small team that has done that as like a passion project, just shows that like the future of animation is a lot more hopeful than you think it is, because it just shows that it's more accessible and we can get a lot of new minds, a lot of new voices in this genre. That's like an exciting concept going forward. So yeah, everything about this movie is excellent. Visually stunning, real just labor of love. And I think that's exactly why it deserves to be number 1.
Well, there you go. Our top 10 for the year of 2025. It's been a pretty great year.
It's been solid. I think
it started slow, I
Yeah.
felt, but the second half of the year definitely brought the sauce.
Maybe it was just the quality overall was higher, because I feel like
Yeah.
I had a lot more difficulty this year discerning what my top 10 was than last year. Last year was like pretty solid. Even though I saw more movies, I just think there were like 10 immediate standouts.
Yeah, this one changed around a lot more. There's a lot
Yeah.
more jostling going on because there was so many more I could have mentioned that maybe would have made it or were just edged out here and there. But yeah. So now that we've revealed our entire lists, we can also reveal what we thought each other's number one might be. Now, may I explain my thought process before I reveal this?
I gotta please don't crucify me. I've got a lot to explain.
No,
here.
listen. My original thought, because I think it just eked into this year, was Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Because I know how much you love Sonic.
Yeah.
But then I was like, it won't. I don't think that'll have stayed at the top the entire year.
It was up there for a while, but it was one that slowly moved down as the year went on.
And then I did genuinely think Better Man. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to be the top either. And so the film I ended up going with, from the point of view of, you've talked to me about it a lot off camera, and I know you really love the songs from it. So I guessed K-pop Demon Hunters, which did make an appearance. But my dreams were shattered very quick because you mentioned it immediately at number 10.
I think, part of the reason why I talked about it so much, I think, it is just because of the cultural impact it had. Like, it was very popular, and it has been very popular for a long time. Like, literally, the reason I watched it was I do like a lot of I've like this year especially, I got back into like drawing and doing art stuff. So I follow like a lot of artists on Instagram, and like scrolling through it, every other post I saw was like fan art of K-pop Demon Hunters. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to watch this now because like everyone's obsessed with it.
Well, exactly. I thought it was one of those where I know you really did love it, and you also are such a fan of the Sony animation as well.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that and the music and everything around it might have maybe pushed it up the top, because I was like, there's no way Sonic's still there.
I feel
I'm interested.
I thought it was going to be a rogue pick. I didn't quite get number one, but I'm very close.
Oh.
I thought, generally speaking, you'd probably go for something a bit more sort of indie, a bit lesser known. But I did go for like a big movie release as your number one, because there was one line that you said after we saw it that stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, even though it's just come out, this already feels like a modern classic.
Oh, yeah.
So my guess for your number one was One Battle After Another.
It makes a lot of sense. You were very close. Yeah,
very close.
By number two. And it was heavily considered as well. But everything I said about Sorry Baby just inched it right above. And like you say, I do prefer generally a smaller indie film.
I think, like, as well, like, as we were going through, like, the amount of big releases you had on your list, stuff like Together and Mickey 17 being on there, I was like, I started to doubt myself a bit. I was like, maybe it's a different big release.
Yeah.
Because it's purely because of, like, a sort of nostalgia thing. I was like, could he have put Now You See Me 3 at number one?
Like, oh my god. I think that would have been a rogue pick if I put Now You See Me 3 as my number one. Yeah, I think that was just nostalgia, but I can kind of objectively see how silly those things are.
Yeah.
And there is just so many films that
it's like
so
it's a guilty pleasure kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly the term for it. Still a good guess. Solid guess. So just to finish off, not every movie this year was good. Listen.
We said it was a strong year.
Some of them are stinkers. So we're going to quickly mention I believe we called it Dishonourable Mentions.
The Dishonourable Mentions of what was the lowest of the low, the bottom of the barrel.
Our pick for worst film of the year. And mine goes to a little indie film that probably not a lot of people have heard of, the Minecraft movie. It ended up at the bottom. Listen, obviously there was so much shit surrounding this film. But when you do take it as just a piece of cinema, it's just sort of abhorrent. Like, nothing really worked about it. The experience, the memes around it, the whole context kind of did elevate it a little bit, just in terms of how funny and weird it was. I know it's just it was a silly kids film, but it kind of tried to be a sort of comedy as well that would appeal to kind of our generation. Yeah, they shouldn't have even tried it, I think.
It was, yeah, we put it best when we say like 1 out of 10 movie,
Yeah.
10 out of 10 experience watching it.
Exactly.
I think, in a way, my bottom choice pick deserves credit of its own, because this is a movie I saw in December of 2024. I think it was maybe the second movie I saw all throughout the year,
Oh my God.
and stayed bottom for like the whole run right up until now.
I think I might know what it is.
A movie I found incredibly difficult to talk about when I first saw it, because I genuinely forgot almost all of it immediately after seeing it. Because my last place, my dishonorable mention, is Craven the Hunter. You know, two different ends of the spectrum for Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, he's made the top and the bottom.
He's made the top and the bottom, but he's the one thing that is not bad about this movie. Everything else is. It is almost exactly as I say. I couldn't tell you a single thing about this movie other than the fact that they like decided this was going to be the one where they finally did like actual violence with it, because it's like his whole power is just knives and stabbing, I guess. All I remember is that rhinos in it and chameleons in it, and that's it. I could not tell you what the story was, what the main conflict was, what any of the relationships were. I couldn't tell you any of the story beats. I've
Just
never
nothing.
known such a forgettable movie in
Just
my
nothing.
life.
Just kind of a wispy fog. You could just do this and
Like,
it just
yeah, I know I
disappears.
saw it, but it feels like I didn't. To be fair, I think because they've already set the standard of those, you know, Sony Marvel movies being that low quality, it hasn't even got that novelty to it.
Even for that, it's like bottom of the pile. We could talk about what we're looking forward to finish off to next year. What's coming out next year? I'm excited for HAZMAT, which is Jesse Buckley, Paul Mescal. It's supposed to be really, really great. We're not getting it. I think America has it already, despite it being a British film,
Yeah,
presumably.
very weird. Yeah, I think other than 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, I think, because I've already said, like, 28 Years Later was great, and I'm looking forward to how they're continuing that story. I'm struggling with, like, the actual release dates, because stuff just seems to keep getting delayed and pushed back, and I don't know when anything is releasing now. I saw they're doing a Street Fighter movie
Oh, yeah.
with Cody Rhodes.
Seems weird.
I believe Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in it.
Seems very weird.
The one thing I'm thinking of is, like, I'm still not sure how excited I am for Avengers Doomsday.
I think I'm curious
Yeah.
more than excited or invested, because we just have been so in and out of love with the Marvel stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like, at this point, I'm just curious to see what the hell they're even going to do.
We'll see.
We'll see. They did have a good year this year, to be fair, to them. So,
They've started
you
to
know,
bring
maybe.
it back.
We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, hopefully 2026 shapes up to be a good year for you all, and for film, and for television, and music, and the world, because everything's sort of getting really bad. So thanks for watching our top 10 video.
John Cena retired.
Thank you for watching HAZMAT ranking their top 10 movies of 2025.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more stuff like this in the future, specifically 1 year in the future, you can support the channel by leaving a like or a comment. You can hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted to all our more recent uploads. And as always, all of our socials will be listed down in the description.
And join us next time where I come undone. They're selling razor blades and mirrors in the street.
Cut it out, because we'll get. Just play on Spotify.
Play in the background.